Thank you, sisters and brothers. And I want to start my remarks by saying there's nowhere that I would rather be than standing side by side with my UAW members and brothers fighting for American jobs. My name is Bill Pienta, and I am the director for the United Steelworkers District 4. It covers the Northeast United States, and I'm very proud to represent the 61,000 USW members in my district. I will focus my remarks around two numbers. The first one is 7.2 million. The second number is 25 million. Research done by the USW indicates the American auto industry supports 7.2 million direct and indirect jobs in the USA. Many of those jobs in facilities represented by both the USW and the UAW. The second number, 25 million, represents the number of people, primarily family members, who are impacted by the earning ability of the job holders. I am here today to let you know that the impact on the members of the USW is at least as great as it is on the members of the UAW. Building a car is more than just building a car. You are all familiar with our relationship between assembly plants and the steel producers. But did you realize that paper industry analysis claim that a ton of paper is utilized in the production and sale of each U.S. auto? The paper used for brochures, the cardboard in the packing crates, the forms used to order the cars are all part of that process. We represent the people who make the tires that go on those cars. We represent the people that make the glass. We represent the people who produce parts that go into the cars. The impact goes even deeper. Each one of those people go out to eat. They pay taxes. They buy school clothes for their children. They go to the doctor. In other words, they spend their money in the U.S. economy, which supports thousands more U.S. jobs. From manufacturing firms that produce auto parts and materials to service providers, teachers, first responders, and countless others, the auto industry's impact is wide and deep. Their future is intertwined with the future of the auto industry and its supply chain. This is not just a Detroit issue or a Big Three issue. This fight matters to us all.
Yeah.
You know, when we don't make cars in this country, we won't need to make as much steel, auto parts, computer chips, windshields, tires, and countless other materials that go in a car. That means people like you won't have jobs. When we don't have good jobs, we can't spend our money in the local communities. But it's about more than money. We are losing our right to retirement with dignity, to health care for our families, to an honest day's work so that we can pay our mortgages and send our kids to college. We are losing the American dream. Now what can we do about it? Because those of you that know me, I always have a plan. Some are good, some are bad, but I've always got a plan. So I'd like to tell you my plan on help saving this country. First, we need to urge Congress and this administration to stimulate a domestic demand for automobiles. For example, an incentive program like Cash for Clunkers with a strong domestic requirement and restoring credit for consumers and businesses. American tax dollars must support domestic jobs, investment, and innovation, and reject offshoring is a path to profitability for GM and Chrysler. Now, I don't know what's the matter with us. Other governments, they've been forceful in tying stimulus money to pledges that their auto companies will not close plants or lay off workers. Italy conditioned its $1.7 billion of stimulus money to keep plants open. France loaned $8.5 billion to its 3 car makers in February. And President Sarkozy announced, and I quote, that the loans were not protectionism and that it is his responsibility to keep jobs in France. Selling cars in the U.S. market brings with it responsibility to source products in our markets as well. If it's good enough for France, it's good enough for the USA. Next, sisters and brothers, we need to change our health care policy to eliminate the structural problems for the domestic auto industry. The big three's foreign competitors benefit from either national health care or through offering substandard benefits. I believe it is morally wrong to tell our people who have spent their entire lives working in steel, in tire, or the automobile industry, thanks, but now you're on your own and you have to figure out how you're going to get your health care coverage when you need it the most. Legacy costs are simply deferred compensation. Workers earned those rights while they were working. Workers did everything right. They worked hard for their compensation. They increased productivity. And the problem is our healthcare system and the lack of nationalized healthcare. All Americans would benefit. We need to ensure that trade policy promotes U.S. interests. The American car market is one of the most open in the world. The United States imports $41.5 billion worth of cars and light trucks from Japan. $7.5 billion from Korea. While we are allowed to export less than $1 billion collectively to the two countries. We must address non-tariff barriers to trade in these markets, end the currency misalignment, and aggressively enforce our trade laws to eliminate unfair trade practices. Now, sisters and brothers, while the U.S. auto manufacturers should be given a chance to survive, the increasing trend of outsourcing parts and assembly should not be a part of their plan. I am here today to tell GM that shrinking your way to profitability is not the answer, and we will resist all attempts to do so. According to analysis conducted by the EPI, the Detroit 3 has increased their use of imported vehicles. This occurred even last year as Mexican assembly of Detroit 3 vehicles increased 5%. Under its most recent plan, GM intends to increase its importation of vehicles from countries such as Mexico, South Korea, and China. Any plan for GM or Chrysler that is supported and funded by the U.S. government must be focused on maintaining a competitive automobile industry at home. American jobs must come first. Now, I met a couple of my good